Welcome back to Well this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was an unexpected but a very quick break, Shahzad, wasn't it?
Exactly, and ladies and gentlemen, we're actually being watched in 46 different countries, and people over here, even in our office, cannot hold back, so
From walking in.
yeah, so they walk in and they give an appearance. So it's wonderful, and this truly is the beauty of live shows as well, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, since we were actually talking about weather, so Shiza, this is something which I was excited about last night, that I'm going to wake up to a very washed Islamabad, where everything's going to be green and
HD.
and the trees will be blooming, and even
beautiful.
even in this time of the period, what actually happens is that that you can really see the true colors of greenery as well, and they're blossoming, there are flowers out there as well. So it was beautiful to drive to work today. And did you notice one thing? It was not rushy at all. Even yesterday, there were a few cars, but today, there were only 2 or 3 cars on the road. So I was like, wow, man, I have the entire road to myself.
Yeah, I don't know why though, but one reason for today, because you were way too early today to office.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe that's why. But ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. When such a weather does occur at, any place, it invokes that thing, or actually brings something out of you where you want to make the most of it. Some people will resort to, of course, making pakoras and enjoying that. But since we're fasting, I feel like there's only a few things you can do with enjoying the weather, as in probably catharsis in some form. So for me, when such a weather comes, I feel like watching holiday movies, any sort of holiday movies, because they're so light.
Wow.
Some people like to, well, paint even, just, be out in their terrace and make a painting of whatever they see. It's different for everyone, and I feel like it's a blessing in whatever case it is.
Exactly, and I know what you're referring to, ladies and gentlemen. Today actually happens to be the birthday of Leonardo da Vinci as well, and today happens to be the World Art Day. For the very first time, it was observed in 2012, and since then, UNESCO is making sure that everybody is going to observe it. As for example, all the member states of the United Nations really observe it as well, and they truly work on that people really need to express, and that it needs to be instilled within our education system as well. We have a small report on that. Go towards that, and on 1st of Ramadan, which was yesterday, we actually got a wonderful surprise by a Pakistani cricket team as well. We'll talk about that a little bit. But first, the report. Good morning.
Let's do it.
Art nurtures creativity, innovation and cultural diversity for all people across the globe and plays an important role in sharing knowledge and encouraging curiosity and dialogue. These are the qualities that art has always had and will always have if we continue to support the environments where artists and artistic freedom are promoted and protected. In this way, furthering the development of art also furthers our means to achieve a free and peaceful world. Each year on the 15th of April, World Art Day celebrations help reinforce the links between artistic creations and society, encourage greater awareness of the diversity of artistic expressions, and highlight the contribution of artists to sustainable development. The date of 15th April was decided in honor of the birthday of Leonardo da Vinci, who was chosen as a symbol of world peace, freedom of expression, tolerance, brotherhood and multiculturalism, as well as art's importance to other fields. It is also an occasion to shine a light on arts education in schools, as culture can pave the way for inclusive and equitable education. Art generates a love for learning and creativity. It strengthens focus, improves hand-eye coordination and helps teach problem solving. It supports emotional intelligence and helps people express complex feelings. Art reaches across racial stereotypes and religious barriers and helps to build communities. It builds self-esteem, increases motivation and improves holistic health. Art awakens a sense and helps people experience the world in new ways.
Well, this was World Arts Day, ladies and gentlemen, and just watching this small report, Shahzad and I were actually taken back. We've never been there, but we aspire to, or we wish to go to the Louvre Museum
And
as
go
well.
shopping over there.
Shopping as well. But Shahzad, you were going to speak about something, well, it's a surprise, not anymore. All of you must know about it. But for Pakistan, what happened?
Yeah, on the 1st of Ramadan, ladies and gentlemen, we got a wonderful surprise, that too by the Pakistani cricket team as well, where it was a great day for Mr. Babar Azam, our skipper. He's the captain of all the formats, may it be Test, may it be One Days, and may it be T20s as well. I'll come back to the T20 side in a while, but he now, alhamdulillah, happens to be the #1 one-day international batsman in the world. making sure that he's not going to give a second chance to Mr. Virat Kohli, which has a
Wow.
lot of respect, ladies and gentlemen, as a
And
player.
Kohli was there for quite some years, wasn't
For
it?
yeah, Kohli has been there for a long period of time as well, and I still remember that when it used to be Shahzad who used to come as an opener, ladies and gentlemen. Then there was a very fair comparison in between Shahzad and Virat Kohli. But Virat Kohli, obviously one of the most amazing batsmen, but now people are finally saying that Virat Kohli really needs to learn techniques from Babar Azam. So Babar
Oh,
Azam, we're
that's a
truly proud of
feat,
you,
man.
skipper. And not just that, just yesterday, you know, it was the highest ever partnership at Centurion,
Wow.
South Africa. And not just that, it was the highest ever chase as well, which was done by Pakistan. Mohammad Rizwan and our skipper did a wonderful job. 122 of 59 balls, that was Babar Azam. And even Rizwan did some odd 74 or 75, which I cannot remember right now. But a beautiful task done, beautiful job done as well. And finally, we truly have confidence in our Pakistani cricket team.
No, but what a great features are. I mean, just listening to you, of course, because, well, I'm not a cricket person, but I love celebrating Pakistan's successes. And congratulations to Babar Azam himself, and then, of course, the entire team, the entire country.
Yeah.
We have a lot of cricket fans over here, and I think yesterday was a big, big day for them. Congratulations, and I hope you carry on to, well, stay on the spot as well. But, ladies
Inshallah.
and gentlemen, you know, it is definitely Ramadan. We have a tradition of dedicating at least one of our segments every day to learning more about our religion and especially what to do in this blessed month.
Yep.
Shahzad, if you remember, yesterday we requested our religious scholar that we today want to talk about charity. Fitrana, for that matter, is it any different with sadqa or khairat? So let's learn about it without any further ado.
Exactly. And without any further ado, I truly get it that we really need to introduce our guest. But ladies and gentlemen, let me be very clear on this, that, you know, since it's the holy month of Ramadan, so, you know, the charity you're going to give out is going to be very different what you do throughout the year.
Definitely.
You know, the prayers you're going to make, the prayers you're going to offer, you know, if you're going to be kind to somebody, it is very different in this entire month as well. The way you behave with people is going to be, you know, kind of rewarded very differently by Allah Almighty as well. But today we're going to primarily focus on sadaqah, zakat and khairat and how important it is and what role does it play and how beautiful it is to give it out in Ramadan as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've been joined by one of our very fittest religious scholars, and he happens to be Mr. Imran Sandhu. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Good morning.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sir, thank you very much for joining us. But ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, today we actually wanted to, you know, start our day with the Naat Mubarak of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So for that, we're very lucky that we've been joined by a Naatkhwan as well, and he happens to be Mr. Muhammad Ali. Hello, assalamu alaikum, subha bakhair, how are you?
Wa alaikum salam, I'm fine. What's about you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. क्या सुनाएंगे आज?
नात रसूल मकबूल है एक बहुत ही खूबसूरत
बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए.
हुजूर मेरी तो सारी बहार आप से है हुजूर मेरी तो सारी बहार आप से है मैं बेकरार था मेरा करार आप से है मैं बेकरार था मेरा करार आप से है हुजूर मेरी तो सारी कहाँ वो अर्ज़ मदीना कहाँ मेरी हस्ती कहाँ वो अर्ज़ मदीना कहाँ मेरी हस्ती ये हाज़री का शरफ बार आप से है ये हाज़री का शरफ बार बार आप से है मैं बेकरार था मेरा करार आप से है हुजूर मेरी तो सारी सयाहकार हुआ का बड़ी निदामत है सयाहकार हुआ का बड़ी निदामत है कसम खुदा की ये मेरा वकार आप से है कसम खुदा की ये मेरा वकार आप से है मैं बेकरार था मेरा करार आप से है हुजूर मेरी तो सारी
Subhanallah, बहुत खूबसूरत, beautiful, and you made our morning beautiful actually, and for everybody who's out there, Soli, you did a wonderful job.
Amazing.
And we're going to come back to you as well, but let us move on to Sandhu Saab. So Sandhu Saab, Zakat, Khairat,
Sadaqah and fitrana for that matter.
Zakat, Fitrana, Sadaqah, you know, these things are really very close to us, and in our religion and even in our culture, God forbid, if somebody is sick, you know, we truly go out to make sure that we give out sadaqah and we pray for that particular person as well. And there's particular afadiyat of sadaqah, you know, to be very right on these words as well. But, you know, for doing all of these things, obviously every Muslim is doing it all over the year. But what about doing it particularly in the month of Ramadan?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ramadan is a very great month.
Indeed.
And, you know, Quran has been revealed from the Lawh-e Mahfuz to the first sky in Ramadan.
True.
And it is for the guidance of humanity. Without Quran, it is impossible that humanity may be guided.
Okay.
Having said this, there's a Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam actually towards the end of Shaban came and gave a sermon, and he said that whatever deeds you do in Ramadan would be rewarded many times more as compared to what you did in
Regular months.
regular months.
Yes.
So from that perspective also, any sadaqah, any khairat done within Ramadan would like the sunnah amal or the nafli amal would contain much bigger rewards as compared to what you do out of Ramadan. And the other thing is what are the kinds of charity that you give Islamically? What are the kinds of charities? So number one, it is zakat. Number two, it is sadaqah fitr or fitrana as we call. And number three, it is normal charity which we say sadaqah, khairat.
Okay.
Zakat is due on your liquid assets or business inventory assets.
For example?
Like whatever gold you have, whatever cash you have, you add all the cash, whatever inventory you have, business inventory. For example, if you are a real estate seller and you've purchased a house to resell, not to live in it, then you have to give zakat on it.
Yeah.
Whereas sadaqah fitr is also wajib. Zakat is also a wajib charity, a farz charity, as well as sadaqah fitr is also a farz charity.
All right.
But the way we calculate it is different. In zakat, we only take liquid assets and the inventories minus the liabilities. Whereas in sadaqah fitr, we take all the assets. If anybody owes more than 52 tolas of chandi, silver, he has to give this charity.
Okay.
And every masjid has a pamphlet that tells what is the amount of charity.
So we'll definitely come back to this as well, and I would want you to share it with people that this year around what it might probably look like, the cost of it, or probably what we were supposed to give out. But a lot of people might argue on where you said that that it is based on the liquid assets you have. But over here, the counter argument would be that the liquid asset we only have is probably the cash. They might not consider gold as liquid asset. They might not consider property as liquid asset. And this is how it has been, unfortunately. So let's clarify that gold, all the business assets and probably all the cash which you have with us, with yourself in the saving account, or the cash you use regularly.
I would say yes, gold is, because its liquidity is high, it can be sold very quickly, unlike other assets.
And taken away very quickly.
That is why I said liquid assets. And but not all the business assets.
Okay.
If a businessman owns a property in which he is doing a business, he doesn't give zakat on that property.
Okay.
However, if a businessman has a business of selling properties,
okay.
Like he holds inventory to sell properties, like these big foundations. So then there is going to be a zakat on it.
And what about rental properties?
No, not on rental property. Any property you have purchased for rental purposes, so that you can give on rent, you are not paying zakat on the value of that market value of that property.
Okay.
Zakat is valued on the market value of the asset.
Okay.
That is eligible for that is a zakatable asset.
Okay, and sir, one more thing, which is I came across it very recently as well, where I was actually having a dialogue that so everybody at my place was sitting down. We were like, hey, you know what, we really need to give out zakat, so let's just do it together, so that we can help somebody or an organization or a foundation or a charitable organization for that matter. So one of my very close relatives, he said that that the government takes away the tax, it is zakat in any case. So I was like, hey, you know what, we probably need to study a little bit more on this, because do you think that this can actually be treated, the tax which is being deducted from our salaries can be treated as zakat?
This is a flawed argument actually. Zakat is an ibadah, whereas giving tax is a purely worldly matter.
Yeah.
Based on the agreement you have in the constitution with the government.
Okay.
Zakat has been ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Exactly.
But the taxes have not been ordered directly by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
True.
So there is a big difference between zakat and taxes. So anybody who says that since the government, this government is taking responsibility of the poor, so if you give taxes, it indirectly goes into zakat, this is a flawed argument.
Okay.
But thank you so much for clearing that up,
Yeah.
because I think it is a very common sentiment where you said a lot of people believe
A lot
that.
of bankers do that.
Well, it's a business. But again, Sandhu Saab, do continue with how you were enlightening us. But my question remains, when you talk about zakat and sadaqah fitr or fitrana, there is a time for sadaqah fitr, but is there a specific time for zakat? I mean, it is an annual thing. Please let us know about both of these things, when to do what. And the rules you spoke about zakat in terms of liquid assets, is it the same for fitrana as well?
No, there is a difference between fitrana.
Yes.
As I said, how it is calculated is different. On what it is calculated is different. Zakat and fitrana. Zakat is on zakatable assets. Fitrana is on total assets. If any person holds a property that is above 52, like a motorbike even, then he ought to give fitrana for himself as well as for his children.
Okay.
And it becomes wajib on the Eid al-Fitr.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it's probably before the namaz of Eid.
Whereas zakat is not directly related to Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr.
Yes.
Any day you become an asset owner above 7 tolas of gold and 52 tolas of silver, whichever is lower, you ought to pay zakat from that day onwards.
Got it.
Wow, that's wonderful. And
But
sir,
then one thing more,
Yeah.
if you give the same zakat in Ramadan, that would be something that would bring you lots of rewards.
exactly.
Oh, so this is obviously a great
Yes,
time, of
yes.
course. I mean, when you can earn 70 times the reward that you usually do, why wouldn't you do it? But ladies
And
and
you know, we are still not sure whether it's just 70 times, whether it's 7,000
It's
times,
way
whether
more.
it's 70, 100,000 times. So, but ladies and gentlemen, it's actually the thought which counts with Allah Almighty. It's actually the niyyah,
Niyyah,
which
yes.
actually matters as well. But there's one more question which I wanted to ask Sandhu Saab. But before we do that, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have to head out towards a short break. But once you guys will come back, we will be in conversation with somebody because you know what, Shiza, all over the world, you know, it's not really necessary that it's just Muslims. People do kind of involve themselves in charitable actions as well and make sure that, you know, that the world is developing at a pace where everybody is safer, where everybody is coming together, where everybody is making sure that everybody around them is doing great at life.
Absolutely, and on individual level, yes, and even people come together to form organizations, and even sometimes there's cross-country collaboration to help each other prosper. Well, this is something I think we need to talk about, but right after this very short break. Stay tuned. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahzad Khan, and I happen to be Shiza Hashmi with your very favorite Wild This Morning.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, of course, we are observing Ramadan. Every single Muslim out there in every single part of the world. Please remember our entire team in your prayers, and we hope that at whatever time you're catching our show, your fast is going good. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about organizations or countries when they come together, nations that come together to, well, look for prosperity and help each other reach, climb up the ladder of success as well. Shahzad, you know, US aid, it actually has been a part of Pakistan, or rather
Exactly.
helping Pakistan
For a longer period of time.
for quite some time now, definitely. It focuses on different sectors, not just one, like health, of course, education, and many, many more. Let's talk about it, and what would be even better to be in conversation with someone from the USAID.
Exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're very lucky that we've been actually joined by Deputy Mission Director, USAID Pakistan, and he happens to be Mr. Micheal Nehrbass as well. Hello, Micheal. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. How are you?
Ramazan Mubarak. I am fine.
Micheal, we are having a bit of difficulty over here because we cannot hear you over here in the studio. So I'm actually going to request in the MCR if you can turn on the speaker so we can hear Micheal. So I'll have to do it again. Micheal, how are you doing today?
Ramazan Mubarak to you and your families in the audience. I'm doing great.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you very much for taking our time. It's beautiful to see how USAID is actually working hand in hand with Pakistani government and making sure that everything's going to be better and for the betterment of people, and not just that, that you've been working for a longer period of time for the welfare of people as well. Which is why, Micheal, the first question I would want to pose to you is that, you know, what's the kind of work USAID has been doing in terms of medicine over here since the pandemic broke out, and we would definitely love to know the history of USAID and Pakistan working together.
Thank you very much for that question. You know, we have a proud partnership that goes back over 70 years, longer than I've been alive. USAID has been working with the government of Pakistan and medical professionals to strengthen healthcare systems to make it more trustworthy and more accessible. Doing that, we've been working with everything from expectant loved ones with infectious diseases, and a very positive effect on Pakistan's overall well-being.
All right, I think there is probably a lag in hearing you as well, Micheal, but thank you so much for answering that. But now, do you want to probably shed some light on the activities, particularly that USAID, of course, with the government of Pakistan does for the betterment of the health sector, and then adding on to what Shahzad already asked you about the pandemic, certain activities that you guys did over a period of last year?
Yeah, thank you very much. I can give you a great example of our partnership in terms of the Jacobabad Institute for Medical Sciences, where there was a situation in the region where women and people did not have access to good quality health care in Balochistan and southern Punjab, northern Sindh. And what we did was come together with the government to build a state-of-the-art facility which has a dedicated maternal health department, which today serves over 2 million people per year, doing things like help to bring life into this world, help to treat diseases. It's been just a tremendous success and really supported the confidence of people in their federal and provincial healthcare systems. In terms of the pandemic, USAID has been involved with the government from the start. One of the first things we did when the pandemic hit was to develop an app so healthcare officials all over the country could report to the government when there was a case of COVID-19. After that, we wanted to complement the government's system of disease monitoring. So what we did is in each and every one of Pakistan's 155 districts, we worked to strengthen and establish a disease monitoring and response center that links the district to the province to the capital. And that has had a tremendous effect on being able to detect and respond quickly to the virus. In addition to that, we worked with the National Disaster Management Authority to distribute 200 ventilators to 64 hospitals across the country. Not only that, we worked to train over 600 healthcare professionals on how to use and maintain these life-saving machines, which has made a tremendous impact for individuals needing intensive care in hospitals.
That is absolutely amazing. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, I think Michael is being a little modest over here because he just spoke about the last 1 year of the pandemic. But USAID, of course, in collaboration with the Pakistani government, one thing that is very close to my heart that you guys are doing is how in the less privileged areas, you're bringing healthcare, and now over a period of few years, well, you know, infant mortality and post and prenatal mortality is actually reduced by quite a huge percentage. And I absolutely love that.
Exactly, and not just that, Michael, you know, I would certainly want to know because, you know, obviously we're talking about pandemic, the entire world is talking about pandemic, and God forbid, you know, if we didn't have partners like USAID, it would have been really difficult for any government out there to make sure or curtail the pandemic as well. But there might be some other activities USAID might be involving itself, because you just said, you know, going into southern Punjab, Sindh for that reason. You know, first of all, the pronunciation was really apt, but not just that, you know, since Shiza said that, you know, even in the rural areas, your penetration is really amazing, how you are really making sure that you're going to go look after the communities over there. But what are the other projects USAID is currently operating with the help of Pakistani government?
Thank you very much for that. Something that doesn't always make the news is our collaboration with the Drug Regulation Authority of Pakistan, where, once again, in partnership with the government, we have worked on checking the quality of medicines to help ensure that counterfeit and poor quality medicines don't get into the marketplace. And that is a very important thing that we've been able to do through our partnership. There's some other activities we do that also have an impact on health, such as our work in girls' education. Studies show that when women are educated, they take better care of themselves and their families. And that also has a tremendous impact on the nation as a whole. Or things like, I'm a father whose children have respiratory diseases are affected by air pollution. And when USAID partners with the government of Pakistan to invest in clean, renewable energy, that improves air quality. And that improves the health of the people. These are a couple of examples of other types of activities that also are benefiting the people's health of Pakistan.
Wow, wonderful. Now, one last thing, Michael, before we actually wrap up this segment as well, and you know, since we've asked you majority of the questions related to work as well, but since 2019, I believe that, you know, you have been working over here in Pakistan. So we would want to know, do you like Islamabad? Do you like being over here in Pakistan? And do you like the cuisine over here?
Have you tried biryani?
Oh yes. I love the cuisine. I'm a huge fan of mangoes. I've never had such delicious mangoes as Pakistan has. And that, by the way, is something also that USAID has supported in terms of production, marketing, and so on. But Pakistan was such a great surprise to me. Islamabad is so green and the people are so friendly. I initially was supposed to stay for just 1 year, but I said, no, I got to stay for 3. And I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Michael, for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation. And once again, Ramadan Mubarak. Enjoy all the dates and pakoras and fritters and samosas, everything. Look after yourselves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was just one example of how people do come together, nations do come together to bring out the best. And still speaking of charity, Shahzad, Pakistanis happen to be the most philanthropist nation.
Yeah.
Have you, I mean, in regular days, yes, of course, but have you ever seen us in a calamity, God forbid, if something happens to the country?
Yeah.
Everyone comes together, and the amount of charity, not just in terms of cash or money, but in terms of every other aspect that goes in, I mean, it literally melts my heart every time. I am in love with Pakistanis and their sense of charity, and that is, I think, a major influence of definitely our religion.
Exactly, and not just that, ladies and gentlemen, a living example of that is Kashmir Orphanage Relief Trust as well, which was established back in 2005 after the earthquake. where it's home to babies who are actually 1 day old, and people or kids who are actually going to universities all over the world as well, and then being offered jobs as well. So obviously there's no doubt in it. But I have been a witness to this kind of charity as well, or not even charity. I think having empathy for all of those people who might not be eating for days and days as well. So I've seen literally a person who himself didn't eat for a couple of days, and finally he got his hand onto the bread, and he saw that there was somebody else who hasn't eaten as well. So he kind of started sharing his bread as well with them. So this is the kind of jazba we have over here. This is the kind of passion we have. This is the kind of dedication we have for people and thinking about other people and making sure that they're comfortable as well. But not just that, I'll move back to Sandhu Saab over here. So Sandhu Saab, I have a few pertinent questions. That is that, do you think, since I just mentioned that I'm a witness, that I've seen people sharing their bread and people who haven't eaten by themselves as well. So does that count as zakat and sadaqah, first of all? And number two, what I do is that, so throughout the year, after every month or whatever I get paid, there's a certain percentage which I'm going to give out. So what I do is that I hand out that money probably to my father or to my mother and be like, there, hey, you know what, whoever you think deserves that, please give it to them. And in my own heart, the niyat is basically that, all of my sadaqah and zakat is in it, so please accept it. And throughout the year, I do it almost every month, alhamdulillah. So is that the true form of giving zakat and sadaqah?
First of all, I'll say, mashallah, that's a commendable, intention. But intentions, actions are by intention. Innamal a'malu binniya. However, zakat is something much more, that needs to be calculated on actual what zakat is accrued upon you.
Okay.
Right? So I would suggest that anybody who has to pay zakat, first he finds out on what day he qualified as a sahib-e-nisab.
Okay.
Right? And calculate the actual amount of that nisab on that day, and multiplied by 2.5%, and then give zakat. Now you can give it in advance as well as you can defer it over the months as well.
True.
So that and then the second thing is, whoever is the most important thing is, if you are giving this zakat to a charity organization, you must ensure that the process of giving zakat is transparent over there.
True.
Right? Because charity organizations cannot use zakat in their administrative expenses.
Okay.
It has to reach out the full amount to the people who deserve it.
But sir,
Sandhu
now I
sir,
have a question. I'm sorry, Shiza, that I'm intercepting, and that is that, sir, now with all of these, a lot of charitable organizations, NGOs we have seen, so what people do who've actually made those NGOs draw salaries worth millions of rupees as well, and give it out to their employees as well. So then for all of those people who are giving in zakat, and the charitable organizations withdrawing their salary from that particular zakat money, does that really count as zakat then?
No, it should not be done.
Okay.
Because zakat is surely only for poor people who qualify that amount. If somebody can get the zakat, that zakat has to be made the owner of that amount. If he actually returns that amount by his own will without any jabr, then this organization can use this zakat if he redonates it back to that organization.
Okay.
But if he doesn't redonate, it's his own sweet will. So most of the organizations that are, I'd not say most of the organizations, any organization that is receiving the zakat charity from the general public, they must ensure that this amount should fully reach the person
In true form.
who really qualifies to receive zakat.
Definitely.
Wonderful.
And it actually makes me realize, Shahzad, how a lot of people, I personally know hundreds of people who might be a victim of this. Because this is convenience, right, Sandhu Saab? For a person like us who probably don't know the right way of zakat, it is convenient to look for an NGO or an organization that already does zakat. So without double checking, I or anyone else that I know might give up the amount of zakat and be like, okay, now it is in trustworthy hands. But then I think the onus lies, or the responsibility rather, lies on the people who are running the NGO.
True.
Don't they have a liability towards Allah then? Because then they are responsible for not just their own zakat, but thousands of people's zakat. Then, for example, so if it is misused then it is not my guna, is it?
I mean, we're not even referring to misuse. What we're trying to refer to is that,
Not
that
given
for all
in
of
the
those
right
people,
way.
donating to an NGO or a charitable organization, and then the organization withdrawing salaries out of
Yeah.
that charity. Well, you said that it's not really charity.
Well,
right?
one thing is, it's not going to be if you give your zakat to an organization that is misappropriating the funds, or the process of giving zakat is not transparent, or it becomes like it is using the zakat money in its administration expenses. You are not going to become sinful in the sense that you gave it to a wrong in a wrong place.
Okay,
But
okay.
the zakat is not going to be, the liability of zakat is not going to go over.
All right.
So
Okay.
it's your responsibility to make sure and to ensure that the zakat reaches to the person that
deserves it.
really deserves it, or qualifies to get zakat.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sandhu Sahab. It was lovely to be in conversation. And very quickly, can you please share with us what would you want to share with all our audiences tomorrow, inshallah?
Let's talk about Ramadan and the reward that one gets in Ramadan in doing good deeds.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Sandhu Sahab, for joining us. It was wonderful to have you. Same goes for you, Ali, and we're going to come back to you as well. Alhamdulillah, हम एक और रात आपसे सुनेंगे. हम जरा जल्दी से खुदाफिज बोल दें
Right,
अपने
and
सभी
Shiza,
चाहने वालों को.
and you know how we always talk about, especially in Ramadan and before, since 2 weeks we've been talking about how everything good we do in this month will be rewarded many folds, many folds. So tomorrow Sandhu Sahab is actually going to educate us in detail by how many folds it is going to increase, and actually what kind of good deeds you should focus on and what the kind of reward will be. But till then, please take care, and if you have any questions regarding tomorrow's segment, do write to us to let us know on our Facebook page with
the name of World This Morning.
on Twitter.
World This Morning without a G.
Or actually, you can tweet to us on our personal pages as well. But also, you can find us on YouTube, hopefully, with the name of...
You look for PT World, and then alhamdulillah, the most viewed show on PT World is World This Morning. Until the next time, ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there is looking after themselves, following all the SOPs, and that you're not going to rush out to the markets just because it's going to be Eid, because you really want to spend your Eid with your loved ones rather than them being a victim of COVID, God forbid.
God
So
forbid.
please make sure that you look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
Over to
Stay
you, Ali.
safe.
थी जिस के मुकद्दर में गदाई तेरे दर की थी जिस के मुकद्दर में गदाई तेरे दर की कुदरत ने उसे राह दिखाई तेरे दर की थी जिसके मुकद्दर में मैं भूल गया नक्शो निगारे रुख दुनिया मैं भूल गया नक्शो निगारे रुख दुनिया